Hello, it's Miss D again. Today we're looking at how we can use a conversion table for units of time, similar to the conversion tables we made for units of length, weight, and capacity, and to see how they're different. Let's get started by looking at slide B. So here we have a clock and a number line. How are they similar? How are they different? Go ahead and answer those two questions, and when you're ready, you can go ahead and unpause. All right, so how are the clock and the number line similar? Did you notice they both are counting by 1? Did you notice that they both end at 12? And did you notice that they both show intervals of 5 minutes? How are the clock and number line different? What did you notice? Did you notice that they are different because one is a circle, right? And one's a line? Did you notice that the smallest number on the clock is 1, while the smallest number on the number line is 0? Okay, so today we're going to be looking at time and just kind of go over an analog clock. The shorthand is the hour hand. The long hand, black hand here, shows the minutes. And then you have the second hand, which is in red, which shows the seconds. Let's go ahead and now take a look at the next slide. So here they want us to convert minutes to seconds using a table. We can see here on the analog clock below that there are 60 tick marks on the clock. This means there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So this red hand will travel all the way around before the minute hand moves 1 tick mark. So it'll take 1 whole minute for the red hand to travel all the way around, and that'll take up 60 seconds. So here in the table, it tells us that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So that means that 2 minutes will be double that, 120 seconds. So go ahead and complete the rest of the chart, and when you're ready, you could go ahead and unpause. All right, so check to see if your answers match up here. Right, so if we have 1 minute is 60 seconds, that means 2 minutes is 120, and that 20 seconds, and that means 3 minutes is 180 seconds, and so forth. So the rule traveling down here, so if we're traveling down, the rule is to add 60. But just like we explored with converting measurement, like length or weight, you notice that if I tell you how many seconds is in 125 minutes, that's going to be a really long table. So if we look across, we can find another rule here. So how do I go from 1 to 60? What rule would also apply to go from 2 to 120? And the numbers are growing. We use addition going down, so it'll have to be multiplication. So 1 times what will give me 60? 2 times what will give me 120? And there we see that the rule is to times by 60. So to go from that larger unit of minutes to seconds, we multiply the minutes by 60, since 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And we could quickly prove that. I'll just do a easy number here, 5. So if we do 5 minutes times 60 seconds for each minute, 5 times 6 is 30, and because 60 is a multiple of 10, we know that that's going to give us the answer of 300 seconds. All right, let's try something similar the next slide. So if you could follow along on the next slide here. In this one, we're going to convert hours to minutes using the table. So the 60 tick marks on the clock are also helpful in understanding that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So this minute hand over here is going to have to travel to each tick mark first before the hour changes. So before it goes, let's say, from 3 to 4 o'clock. So when we're counting by 5s between each number, so it'll be 5, 10, 15, 20, and so forth. So they did the first one for us, 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes, and they want you to complete the rest of the chart. So table, go ahead and complete the rest of the table, and when you're ready, go ahead and unpause. All right, so let's see if we can match up our answers here. What did you guys get for your answer? Did it kind of match up here? Hey, what do you notice about the previous numbers we plugged in and the numbers that we plugged in for minutes? Yeah, they were the same, right? The reason is because in order to go from 1 minute or to convert from minutes to seconds, it's 60, right? Times 60. And the same rule applies for hours to minutes. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes. That means 2 hours equals 120 minutes. So our rule is really similar to the one we just saw on the previous slide. In order to go from that larger unit to minutes, we just multiply the hours by 60 since 1 hour equals 60 minutes. All right, now that we've explored these tables a little bit, let's go ahead and tackle a word problem. So we're going to complete with 3 reads. So let's take a look at this question. So I'm going to read this problem 3 times, and we're going to answer a few questions at a time. So the astronauts from Apollo 17 completed 3 spacewalks while on the moon for a total of 22 hours and 4 minutes. First question is, what is happening in the story? Go ahead and answer that question. When you're ready, go ahead and unpause. All right, so what's going on here? We have astronauts completing 3 spacewalks over a period of time, right? I'm going to go ahead and complete that second read. I'm going to answer these 2 questions in a moment. The astronauts from Apollo 17 completed 3 spacewalks while on the moon for a total of 22 hours and 4 minutes. I want you to go ahead and answer these 2 questions. What are the quantities in the problem? You could go ahead and use those prompts, I can count, I can measure, and answer the question, what relationships exist? So go ahead and answer those 2 questions. When you're ready, go ahead and unpause. All right, so what could we count? We're just going to put it down here because it kind of ran out of space. We can count there were 3 walks, right? We can count that this was the 17th Apollo mission, right? That's why it has Apollo 17. I mean, maybe not Apollo 3 or 4. It's the 17th Apollo mission. We can measure the total time walked on the moon as 22 hours and 4 minutes. And we know there is more than 1 astronaut because this is astronauts. So those are the quantities that we know. How about what relationships exist? What did you guys get? Did you notice that we know the 3 walks equals 22 hours and 4 minutes? We know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes, right, from the previous slide we looked at. And we know 1 minute equals 60 seconds from one of the first slides we looked at. All right, let's go ahead and complete that final read here. The astronauts from Apollo 17 completed 3 spacewalks while on the moon for a total of 22 hours and 4 minutes. Final question. What are some mathematical questions you could ask about this problem? Go ahead and come up with some creative questions for this problem. And when you're ready, you could go ahead and unpause. So what did you come up with? Did you maybe ask how long was each walk, since they did a total of 3? Did you ask how many total minutes did the astronauts walk on the moon? Ooh, did you want us to convert that total amount of time into minutes? Or maybe you wanted to find out how many total seconds the astronauts walk on the moon. So did you want to turn the 22 hours and 4 minutes into seconds? Those are some creative questions there. Great job. Let's go ahead to the next slide and see what the actual question for this problem was. Okay, so the astronauts from Apollo 17 completed 3 spacewalks while on the moon for a total of 22 hours, 4 minutes. How many minutes did the astronauts walk in space? Is that the one you did? Okay, so good job predicting that question. Now I'm going to put some of the tables that we came up with before up here on this slide so that maybe they can assist you in your thinking for this problem. So this is the table that we filled out a little while ago. So converting the hours into minutes. And here is our little analog clock, which tells us that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Go ahead and solve this problem. When you're ready, you can go ahead and unpause. All right, so what did you come up with? Let's take a look and see if that answer is right. So I want us to kind of use this table here. I don't want us to have to sit there and multiply so much. I want us to kind of use the table. We already did so much work to answer this question. How can we use the table? We already worked on to help us answer this question. Now, it wants 22 hours and 4 minutes, right? We don't need to convert the 4 minutes, so I'm just going to kind of put it here on the bottom so I don't forget. Put a little asterisk there. And I have to find out how much 22 minutes is 22 hours is in minutes. So how about if I look at 10 and 2? Now, how can 10 and 2 be 22? Well, if I have two 10s, that would be 2 10 hours, which is 600 minutes and 600 minutes. Now that gives me 20 hours. And then if I have the 2 hours here, it'll give me another 120 minutes. So we get 6 and 6 is 12, and 1 more gives me 13. So did you get 1,320 minutes as your answer? Let's see if we could find the answer a different way. So let's see. How about if I were to just extend this table a little bit more and find what 11 hours was? Well, that would be 660 minutes. So now if I double this, it'll give me 22. And if I double this, it'll tell me what 22 is. So I could just go ahead and do some side work here. And it'll give me that same answer of 1,320 minutes. You could have gone ahead and used the rule that we came up with, which was multiply the hours, in this case 22, by 60 to get your answer. Okay? Now, we're not done yet. Remember, we have that little asterisk over here telling us, don't forget me, right? So we have to go ahead and add the 1,320 minutes with the 4 minutes to get our total of 1,324 minutes. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a few sample responses. So here we have two different students who solve their problem slightly differently. I want you to go ahead and answer these three questions. So how is student A's thinking similar to student B's? How is their thinking different? And what mathematical conclusions can you draw about solving problems involving conversion of units of time? So go ahead and answer those three questions, and when you're ready, you could go ahead and unpause. So what's similar between the two responses, right? They both got that answer that we got, 1,324, right? They both used what they knew about the relationship of hours and minutes to help them solve this. They both used some multiplication addition, right? We see some multiplication here, we see some addition here, we see some multiplication and addition. How is their thinking different though? How did they tackle this problem? So we see that student A used the table. They actually used 20. They found what 20 is by doubling. They did 10 times 2, gives them to 20, which gave them 1,200. And then they added the 2 hours to get 120, which was something that we did as well. And then they added the 4 more minutes to get the total. Here we see that student B used that rule, 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So they did 22 times 60 and then added the 4, right? So they broke apart the problem, 22 times 60. Further, they decomposed that a little bit more into 20 times 60 and 2 times 60. And they got 1,200 plus 120 plus 4 and ended up with that same answer. So what did you do for the final question? What mathematical conclusions can you draw about solving problems involving conversion of units of time? Did you notice that you can use tables to help convert units of time? You can also use rules like multiply the hours by 60 to find out how many minutes are in a certain amount of hours. So you see student A is using the table to kind of help them answer the problem, while student B is solving using that rule of 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So however many hours, we multiply it by 60 minutes. All right. So great job today, and I hope this video helped you on how you can use tables to convert units of time. And these tables should have been pretty similar to the tables we looked at in previous videos regarding length, weight, and capacity. Well, great job, everybody. See you next time.